So, to my right here we have an esteemed panel of judges. Here we have Tony Moretta, the CEO of Digital Jersey, who's come to judge for us today. We have Rachel Weismuller, who... What is your actual role, Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel, what is your actual role?
Alright, morning everybody.
Morning.
I'm the lead on security products at JT International.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Ronnie?
So you two could be like Rachel one day.
I'm Ronnie Ishwood, was the chair of the Chartered Institute for IT and for the Digital Committee on Chamber. I'm also the founder of J3.com, an IT business.
Okay, round of applause for our judges, please. Thank you. Okay, just one notice I need to give you about what happens at the end. Don't all disappear just right at the very end because we want to get some photos. If you win any of the prizes, we're going to want photos of you with the gentleman presenting, which will be Jason Laity, and the judges. And then at the end, we'd like to get a photo of all of you because you've all survived the hackathon, okay? So don't run off right at the very end. I think we're ready to go. Timekeepers ready? Okay.
Our website is called History in Seconds. It was made by Mark, me and Joe. The PowerPoint includes the brainstorm process we went through, the selection of the ideas and which one was best, the coding process and the final product and how it works. Oh wait.
What are you doing? Right.
Sorry.
This is very...
Right. Go.
I think it's like a dodgy connection.
I think...
Have we got dodgy connection?
Yes, another one of those somewhere. Carry on.
we have multiple ideas, but they're all bad. And yeah.
Our target audience was 12 plus because lots of children in secondary school do history, and we think this would be good for understanding how long ago something happened. The idea we went with was History in Seconds, and it gives you the ability to add whatever date you want into the website and it will tell you how long ago it happened. That was our starting code, which is what we begin to work off.
And then there's some...
This is the updated version, which we added. This is CSS.
My job as Mark was to, I made the website template and the CSS and helped in the PowerPoint. Gabriella made the whole Photoshop design, which included the banner, which you cannot see.
That's time, folks.
And did the writing.
Okay, you got to stop. When the time goes, you got to stop. Right. Judges, do you want to give the microphone to the judges and see if you want to ask them questions?
So weird, right?
The judges you want to talk to now,
Do you have the website ready? Do you have a sort of entry page that we can take a look at?
There are quite a few glitches in it when it comes to actually converting the year into seconds and stuff, because we couldn't find a simpler way to do that, so it got really complicated.
Okay, whose idea was it?
It was Joe's in the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. So there are no bad ideas, by the way. I know you said there was lots of bad ideas, but there are no bad ideas.
Okay, thanks guys. History is pretty big. So
Yeah.
how did you decide which events to put in your, when did this happen website?
We chose the biggest events, such as the beginning of the Roman Empire. What? Such as the beginning of the Roman Empire, World War I, II, and the ending dates in seconds. Mainly the biggest.
Okay, so you chose those from the history books? Pretty much?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
mostly.
Alright, and did you think about how you might like to include other events in history or develop that a little bit in the future?
Yeah, we wanted to make it so you could actually search an actual date, and I'll tell you exactly in seconds, but we didn't get onto that yet.
Okay, cool, thank you.
So you just answered my question with that one, so if you want to move on. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so, right.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
So this is our thing called the nightlight. So what this is it's a thing that fits over your back or backpack, and it's for nighttime cycling, and it's fairly simple. The aim of it was to provide an affordable solution for cycling around at night and feeling safe, because there's nothing like going down a green road and then a Land Rover coming at you at 50 miles an hour.
We also wanted to make it affordable so that people of any ages could access it. We had a look at different products that already existed. The majority of them weren't very bright or noticeable, which means that motorists behind you wouldn't really see you that well.
So what we created is the nightlight. It's a thing that fits over your back. You can use it to indicate left or right through its various functions on the glove. And yeah, it indicates left or right. Also flashes red to show you that you want that. Its main components are a Arduino Nano, a addressable LEDs so that they could actually work and get left and right without having to do power switching, and a big battery, probably bigger than we needed. Okay, then the code for it is mainly just, it finds when there is no power going across the buttons, so when they're covered. So when it sees that, it then illuminates, it then tells the LED what color they should light up, and so on. That's about it. The last page is blank. We didn't have enough time to fill it out.
So first question is, how much for 50% of your company? That's really good. So when I wanted to ask a question, I've seen a backpack idea a bit like that, but not with the glove. What made you think of putting it on the glove?
Well, it's kind of useless having to reach over your back to indicate left or right, so we put it on something that any cyclist would normally use, a glove. We also intended to put on a emergency mode with the third button, but we ran out of time.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Okay. Did you get stuck? Were there any problems?
LEDs can be a pain. They tend to blow up if you put them the wrong way around. I think there's...
Important life lesson, kids.
Yeah, a good pile of dead LEDs.
And all okay with code?
That was mostly alright, just annoying, because within the code there's a small bit just there which actually tells the LEDs to turn on. If you forget that, they don't do anything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Alright, Road Trip Rush. Road Trip Rush is a useful app which is accessible on both Apple and Android.
There will be 4 categories, but 8 if you buy the premium version.
Road Trip Rush is a free app, however, when you upgrade to premium it will cost £2. It's an ultimate boredom breaker for your kids when on a long drive.
We chose to make this logo as it presents Road Trip Rush with the bright colours and visuals. It almost gives a feel of calmness and may ease the tension while on a long drive to somewhere.
We chose to include flags in our logo design because it signifies that it isn't just a local app and it's a worldwide app. It's open to anyone who may want to get it.
The logo is targeting the younger audience as it is colourful and vibrant, which younger kids love.
Some of the games include jigsaws, Guess Who, Bubble Burst, etc.
There are a lot of movies to choose from, such as comedies, cartoons, and so on.
There are many different genres in the song section, such as rock, pop, and classical.
There's a range of different books, some picture books, and others such as Harry Potter. There's a huge range to choose from, suitable for anyone.
There are different types of photo scavenger hunts that can be done, such as a nature scavenger hunt.
Some of the quizzes include logo, music, cartoon, and so on.
Language and maths both have educational value, and they can learn on the go.
If we had more time, we may have come up with a more advanced and more detailed app.
Some difficulties we came across were issues with the coding of the app, as it didn't seem to be working, and we couldn't figure out why.
30 seconds.
Some things that went well were that we were able to finish the app in time and finish everything we needed to do for it to function properly. Any questions?
Give you the microphone.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to put this in my car. Can you talk about how you might appeal to older audiences as well? Because we also struggle with boredom.
We were also going to do a adults version, but we didn't have enough time.
Okay, cool. And what blockers did you hit in your code?
Well, it was a lot of if statements in if statements, so it was quite hard to get all the indents right.
Who would you market this to? Would you market this to the parents, or would you market it to the students, or both?
Probably both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go.
6 million people in the UK experience mental health illness.
A quarter of the population in the UK experience mental illnesses in a year, and a sixth of people report depression in a week.
People are still afraid to talk about their mental health, as others active and mental health doesn't exist.
Although this generation is very supportive of it all, there are still people such as parents and elders who do not understand how important mental health actually is, as they were just told to get over it.
Our small help to this problem is a robot. It's not just any robot, it's a chat robot. Now, I know it looks like a terrifying mutilated teddy bear, but it's a hack, which is what the hackathon's meant to be about, right? It's hacking.
But our robot is programmed with several key questions to help people with mental illnesses. It understands more about a person by using 4 of its own commands that we created, such as a mood tracker, a check-in, relation questioning, and days since the last check-in.
We programmed it to adapt to the user rather than jumping straight into the deep pool of emotions that can be quite intense and difficult. Over 82 million people in the UK suffer from anxiety, which means there can be trust issues or paranoia, so we keep mindful to our users.
It waits until the right moment to ask. We also program the bot to wait about 3 to 4 days to settle into asking semi-personal questions such as how you are feeling, how was your day, and how are your relationships, as we feel that the user would have got used to the gist of the bot and its kinks and works.
30 seconds.
This is just the quick design that we made on SketchUp here. We went for a more simplistic and modern design. We're going to use cheap acrylics and stuff for cheaper use for everyone. This was just our plan because we couldn't get anything printed out in time.
We use.
Okay, guys.
Stop there. Give the microphone to the judges, please. Let's ask some questions.
Okay, what inspired your idea to use artificial intelligence?
It's just with reading many reports on AI recently and then putting together the concept of mental health nowadays, just putting them two together because you can have a friend anywhere. So rather than just easier.
Thanks.
Okay, well done. You demonstrated a really great awareness of the whole ecosystem about mental health. And I know you mentioned that people are often wary about talking about it. So how have you thought about securing your product so that people you don't want to find out your personal information can get hold of it?
Just using encryption firewalls and that database if we ever actually put it into proper idea, then yeah.
So you thought about it a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool, well done.
It's a great idea. Did you do some research whether anyone was doing something similar to this?
Not that I could think of.
Okay. Well done.
There was a video game. It was supposed to be like 2D Walking Dead, but I was using Unity, and it forced me to use a little bit in between 2D and 3D, so I had to do like bird's eye view of it instead of side view. So I started to make a logo, and so these are the games that are made by Unity. These ones are the most popular ones, and these ones are my personal favourites. I had a few problems when I was making mine. My computer blocked the thing I used to do my computer blocked the program I used to do my C# on, so I had to do on Notepad, which I found a lot more difficult. Stuff I would have added if I had more time, I would have done the side view, I'd have added more weapons, so because currently it's a human getting chased by a zombie, and you'd be able to shoot it. I'd add destructible objects and obstacles, and I have the game open. This is the human, this is the zombie. Another problem I had was because the human was supposed to be a spear, and the pill-shaped thing was supposed to be the weapon. And I was saying it, so WASD would be to move around, and mouse would be to turn. But when it was turning, it was the human there, and the weapon was just spinning in front of the human. So I had to turn the pill shape into the human.
30 seconds.
And right now the zombie doesn't really do anything if it catches you. I can change the speed of it, and if I had more time, I'd probably add like a health system and some levels, so when you kill a zombie you get to level 2, which there might be 2 of them, or they might be faster. Level 20 could be some big one.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
You got caught.
How did you get the zombie to follow the human there?
I did it all. This is my C#, so the zombie is. So the zombie would be constantly tracking the player and then moving towards it, which is why it moves so smoothly. and we had to do a little bit of I had to do a little bit of advanced maths on it because it has to track the angles and stuff.
Okay. Great, thank you. No,
Okay, so I've got a question about the movement again. Can you think of some ways you might get the zombie to move more like a zombie? Because it looks very smooth and coordinated.
I had different types of zombies, so some could only have the upper body and they could just crawl along the floor. I could have some that go really slowly but one-shot kill.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, on tape. Okay. Just tell me who's when you're ready.
Okay, yeah. So 66% of people have admitted that they don't know what they're meant to do in an emergency during first aid. And I decided to come up with an application which I've coded it as a web application, but I've made it to the format of an app on a phone. And it's called Don't Panic because its main point is that you shouldn't panic. And I got my ideas because my two biggest hobbies are coding and I also do some John Ambulance, so I thought, why don't I do something unique and combine the two together and create something that hopefully no one's ever thought of. And as you probably guessed, it's pretty much impossible to do all the pages in this 16 hours, so I've just started with two. One of them works completely, but one of them half works because the code sounded very funny. And this is a plan I did at the beginning. It's quite a big plan, but this is a little segment of the plan that I did. And so, Don't Panic is meant to teach you first aid, as well as guide you through what you're supposed to do when treating a casualty. It's also, the main point is that you shouldn't panic because when you panic, you forget things and you stress. And it should also remind you that professional help is on the way, so you don't need to know everything. And I've decided that if you notice back here, there's a QR code that leads you to my application. So I chose a QR code because I think it might be very beneficial in Jersey that places can have them to link them to their websites when people are out and about. And I experienced many problems, like my logo wouldn't format, but suddenly overnight it managed to upload properly. And I have a few people to thank, mainly the organisers and the teachers who decided to volunteer their time to stay here.
That's time, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Give it to the judges.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So you obviously do some stuff in John's Ambulance at the moment. Do they have, what do they use? Do they have guidebooks? Do they have an app? Anything like that?
They have handbooks, but I've talked to the lead of St John Ambulance and they've said that they're quite interested in taking on my app to use in sessions to teach younger ones.
Brilliant.
Okay, so you said you might use QR codes. That's
Yeah.
a nice idea.
Do you want to see the QR code in action? I've got a video at the end
Yeah,
of it in
sure,
action.
please.
This is the working one. So I need to present it. This is it working. There's also videos and tutorials, and I kind of just skipped the video because people don't understand what a video is. And in a minute there'll be a question asking you, it's kind of a questionnaire, so it'll ask you, do you want an ambulance? And if you click yes, then it'll call an ambulance. This should be coming up after this one, I think it is. Yeah, here. So if you click yes, and you click here to call an ambulance. Because the ambulance won't want false calls, I just did it to myself, and it luckily managed to call myself. And that's the app.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Plain Sailing is a pioneering interactive travel comparison website like no other. Whereas your typical travel site may compare the prices of a plane fare or boat journey, Plain Sailing collates data from all modes of transport and displays them based on price, time of journey, regularity of departure, and mode of transport according to user preference.
We decided on this GUI design because it's simple and easy to understand, and it's colorful so the icons can be easily identified. We chose the colors because they represent the sun and the beach, and that's usually recognized with holidays. And they're silhouettes because they're easily they're basic and they're easy to see.
The idea behind Plain Sailing is to take away the hustle and simplify the process of booking a journey. This is epitomised by the home page, which, after you have selected your destination, shows 5 icons of transport. And a click on any of these images will take you to that transport-specific booking page. To view and compare all of the modes of transport, you must click on the central image. As you can see, the trips are listed in ascending order of cost, although this can be altered to tailor to a customer's needs, for example, by time. The way in which we generate revenue is by charging 5% of sales from companies we allow on our site. So here's a short advert.
Oh yeah, there, Tom. You're booking a holiday. Struggling a bit though. You should really try using Plain Sailing. They collect data from all different modes of transport, and then you can select the ideal journey for you based on cost, time, availability. You should really try it.
15 seconds.
So this is just a snapshot of some of our code. We've got HTML up there. We used HTML, CSS to link the web pages together, and we used SQL to make our database, but we haven't got the SQL up there, unfortunately.
That's done, boys. Thank you.
Well done, guys. So did you do any competitor research? Who do you think, is anyone else doing this sort of thing? Who would your main competitor be?
We sort of thought like websites like Skyscanner and like plane comparison websites. You can go on there and sort of look at a journey on a plane, but you don't really get any comparison of price with like rates for trains or going by coach or boat. And also you have like no time scale. So if you wanted to compare a boat price to a plane price, we thought you might also want to know how long it takes to see whether it's worth the journey or worth the extra money.
Thank you. Nice to see advertising there, and also the parental consent required, a line in your code. Good thinking. Can you tell me how you plan to secure your database?
So we would probably use encryption, and we would also like password protect it, stuff like that. Firewalls, anti-malware software, stuff like that.
That's a good start. Thank you.
You've got a one-track mind, Rich.
I'm a security guy. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is the AI that I made, another AI actually. Coincidentally, it's pretty similar to the other one actually. Basically, I've been doing this one for a while, truth be told, but because it was literally just me on my team, everyone else left, it was sort of fair enough to be fair enough to just continue with it. Basically, it's greatly affectionate social artificial intelligence, so called because in comparison to other chatbots like Siri or Cortana, I found them to be rather shallow in some aspects. So whereas they would focus primarily on being connected to the internet, so you can ask them questions and set up reminders. This focuses much more on natural conversation, so that it feels like perhaps not talking to a human, but you feel like you're actually talking to something. So it's easier to converse with. Yeah, because it replicates the sentence structure of a person, really. In time, I can elaborate on it. Obviously, I only had 16 hours. Sorry. Well, something like that. So I couldn't got as much done as I wanted, unfortunately, but I got enough working to think. Well, that's the. I have the code somewhere. Yeah, so it's just enough for it to actually work. No sound, it's still text at the moment. So I enter my name here.
It's not up on the screen.
So it's on your screen, but not on the main screen.
Oh, that's convenient.
Slide it across.
Can I? Yeah. Oh, I think I know what I can do wrong. Something I can do here. That one.
30 seconds.
This is.
Can you slide it across to that screen?
You should be able to drag it over to that screen.
How does that work? Useless.
Is that your code there?
No, that's the that doesn't work.
Ah, there we go. Yeah. There we go.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah, so I can enter my name here. Obviously, this isn't all that it can do. I've been working on it, so I'm just going to put me in here because, for the sake of time, really, like I said, there's more I can do. And say, okay. And since okay is a bit of an ambiguous response, it prompts a question to ask if you're really okay for something going on. So I can say I'm fine, actually.
That's kind of good.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Give the microphone to the judges so they can ask you about it, Benji. Benji?
Okay.
The microphone to the judges.
Benji, how would you secure your data? No, I'm joking. So it's a good idea, I think. How do you go about developing the part of the AI in terms of how do you try and put the emotions in terms of coding it?
Well, it's quite difficult, really, because you really have to focus on how humans naturally communicate, for one thing, and then if you actually looked into the deeper regions of the code, you would find shed loads of things which just says random.choice, where it just has arrays of multiple ways of saying the exact same thing, and it has lists and lists and lists and lists and lists of variations of the same thing when you've got something else, and it's variations of that. So it's it's not the same each time. It also keeps a track of who it's interacted with in the past, so it stores that on a separate file. So it will recognise a name and ask if you're the same person, and then there's a whole section of code dedicated just how it knows what to call you for, like a nickname or something, and that goes on for quite a way. So I've really tried to put lots of depth into it to make it seem more genuine,
robotic,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes, less robotic.
Okay, good. Guys?
Okay, thank you very much. Good to see it working. Can your AI actually do anything in the background? So say your user was showing signs of needing external help. Would it know to go out and call help? Or would it be able to do physical things in the real world?
Mental health wasn't my primary focus, really. That was the other team. So I had to think of other things to make it a bit more distinct, because it was a bit of a surprise to me. So what it's basically just something that's quite nice to converse with, because it's designed specifically in a way so that it's easier to do so, and like you say, feels less robotic. That's the primary focus of it. Ultimately, I can integrate different
features, perhaps?
Features, thank you.
Does it update
Features.
itself? Does it grow like a normal human being?
No, that's a whole new tier. That's like Silicon Valley stuff, really. I mean, maybe, perhaps one day I'll be working on that, but who knows? It's actually a very complicated thing, because you've got a very simple one which just says, oh, hello, how are you? and then you've got things where it has like what I'm trying to do here, and that has lots and lots of stages in between. You know, it's not like step 1, step 2. There's a huge jump between, so it's just getting that down first.
Thank you.
Would you like to have a go at the Turing test? Would you like to enter the competition in the future?
I heard about that actually. It does seem rather daunting because obviously, well.
I think you should have a go in the future.
It'd be certainly interesting, but I mean, I thought it'd be an interesting concept. So yeah.
Well done.
Right. If you don't know the criteria, they get 2 minutes 30 seconds to pitch to our judges what they've been working on and try and convince them it's the best project with the best technical ability shown and its most innovative and creative product. And if they succeed, then they'll win these lovely prizes here. We've got Amazon Echoes, Amazon vouchers, and the winners also get to 3D print their own trophy at the Jersey Library Eagle Labs. Okay.
Hi, so our product is Bandem, so we're a website, and this is our logo up there. Bandem is a way for bands to gain exposure by interacting with other bands and users. For constructive criticism, users will be able to comment on the track and message a band for collaborations. When a user signs up, they'll be asked for their music preferences and their genre of music so they can have music suggested to them and their music can be suggested to other users. An exchange system would mean if a user listened to a song suggested to them, one of that user's tracks would be suggested to another user so all bands have the opportunity to be heard.
So one of the ways to actually make this a social media app like we'd like it to be was to have a username and a password, and to make this safe we had to encrypt the password, which I actually made Kira write out lines and lines of code, the same code essentially, over and over again. And this is what we ended up with, this, and this code as well, which made the encryption work and the password work so that it had a certain amount of, so that it had an uppercase, a number, and a certain amount of letters. We actually found that a lot of the things we were trying to do with our app were too complicated, so we ended up using a website builder website to make it, but we think we had quite a lot of success with that, hopefully.
So when it comes to advertising, we tried to make our app appear modern and exciting. We wanted it to grab people's attention so that it would persuade them to download our app. We would promote our app through the use of social media as well as posters in local cafes and music shops. And our target audience was adolescents, as a big part of society is based on music in this generation.
So this is actually the website that we managed to create. So this is just what it opens up to, the logo and the name.
30 seconds.
As you scroll down, it shows what's featured for the day, and it has music you might like, which is videos that are suggested for you, and it has Hot Right Now, which are videos that a lot of people have liked. For this purpose, we had to use obviously music that was well known, but obviously in the app, because it's for up and coming bands, it would be music that wasn't as well known. And it also has like upcoming music events and a little map to show where they are to make it colourful.
Time.
Okay. Can you give a microphone? The microphone needs to come back to you when you're answering though, because they can't hear you back. Okay. Who's going first?
How much is it going to cost for a user?
Free. Completely free.
We aim to make the money by advertising, hopefully, within the website.
Okay, really great to see you thinking about passwords and how to keep them safe. Well done. But another security-related question. Have you thought about users' copyright of their music, and how would you go about protecting that?
I'm not sure if this counts as copyright. I'm not very well known in the law side of it, but we have got a terms and conditions thing which would state that users can't take music from other users. And presumably if users were actually, if it was something really important, then they would be able to go out and copyright their own music. But yeah, hopefully it wouldn't be a place where people could download music onto their phones, it would just be a place where people could listen to it, so they couldn't actually take it.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Well done.
Thank you.
Hello, we are Bored
and our basic principle is to cure your boredom, because a survey conducted by Allpsych has revealed 63% of the participants in the survey, which was 3,000, had encountered boredom within 10 days. And as teenagers, we say we're quite bored a lot, so we've come up with an idea that can suggest new and exciting things to try so you don't get bored. And we've created quite an in-depth algorithm to work out through your inputs what would be the best outcome for you on what would work for you. But I'll let Nathan explain that.
To further develop the app in the future, we would improve the forms and questions and how they direct the user to the right content.
So I will just demonstrate that app now. So here's the home page, and just ask you if you're bored, and you just say, "Oh yeah." So you and this is just the basic prototype at the moment, and just ask you a few simple questions like which do you prefer, like indoors or outdoors, and we'll just do outdoors. Click submit, and it says, do you prefer physical activities? And I do, so I'll click yes. And it comes up with a bunch of suggestions that I could come up with. We did have a Google Maps showing the World War II bunkers over here where like the spots were, and it's it just gives you ideas and refreshes your mind to think of new things to try and do.
30 seconds was.
And I'll just show you all the code, and Nathan's done the JavaScript for the website. So these are the forms, like the first ones, the questions. Those are these, and I can't find the Java one. But Nathan did all that, and it's quite in depth. But we'd like to expand and make profit out of this, as companies can advertise like things to do. And
Microphone across.
Only in Jersey would you not be surprised to see World War II bunkers as one of the activities. So how would you, it's a great idea, how would you market it? So when you had it all fully fledged and everything, how would you start marketing it?
Microphone across, please.
To market it, we'd display adverts on the website to like suggest activities in the local area, and it would be towards adults and teenagers and children, and we'd get money from people advertising certain activities on their website, on our website.
Can you give me an example of one of the technical challenges you faced?
Basically setting up like the algorithms to find the right outcome for the input. Basically that's it.
So, we have developed an app which is a first in Channel Islands. It's a healthcare app which will be able to find you a doctor, dentist or therapist. So it's a Google-like system. It'll ask you several questions and will find you an answer. We make the app easy, simple and fun to use. Carlos will just discuss the logo and designs.
For the logo design, we wanted it to kind of, can't find the word. We wanted it kind of like relate to children, because the kids going to like dentists and doctors can be quite a scary experience for them, and we wanted to make that less intimidating and more welcoming for them.
Okay, so we have again several categories, again GPs, dentists and therapists, each one with its own unique design with it. So again, we also have the fun designs throughout the app with the puns still going with cars locating different surgeries around the app. We aim to be a not-for-profit app, so any in-app purchases made within the app will go directly to a health-related charity, as you're using it for your own health, so someone else should benefit from their health as well. We aim for the app to be on iOS, Android, and potentially also Amazon Alexa skill as well, so anyone can use it to find their preferred doctor. I'll just quickly show you a quick demo that I've made in Python. So it uses a credit system, if I just expand. So it's a bit small. So just ask what do you require, so let's just say GB. Well, let's say which hash you want it in, so I'll just type in Instagram, for example. And also ask how old you are to find the best price as well.
30 seconds.
It will then give you 3 options, and so I'll just choose one of the options here, and then it will give you specific details about that surgery. So yeah, we aim for the app to be basically to expand to use notifications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This is one case where we've seen you're handling payments on a website. Did you think about how you might like to do that?
We would use like Apple Pay or Android Pay, which is already enabled into the phone or device to enable the payment, which will come directly to us.
Okay, thank
you. And do you think that this should be sort of subscription based, that people are paying, or is it only on those transactions?
We believe the app should be free, and they get a certain amount of searches per day, and they can pay for more searches if they should require more.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So our project is called Javatari, which is basically Atari games made in JavaScript. So the reason we decided to create this is people our age tend to focus on games that are new and HD, but we want to show that a game doesn't have to be high quality to be good. You know, the games from decades ago are still fun to play.
We created it using we made it all on one website, so we use JavaScript to make the actual game, and we use HTML and CSS and using the Bootstrap library to make the actual website. The advantages to using JavaScript for games, a few of them being, the syntax is quite easy to learn. They don't take that long to load because they're not usually too complex, and you don't need things like Flash Player, so you don't have to keep downloading things.
One problem we faced along the way is that some of these games are really hard to make, like Space Invaders. We tried to make Space Invaders, but we realized we didn't have enough time. So then we tried Tetris. Again, we didn't have enough time, so we settled on Snake, which technically it's not Atari, but it's still old, so we thought it was fitting. One of the technical difficulties we found across all of our games was collision detection, but we worked together and eventually we figured out how to do it. So now for the website itself, here's a home page with a carousel of the games, and you can click and play the game. So for Pong, we coded an AI to play along with you, and we also created our own custom retro-themed music to kind of create immersion into the games. So each game has different songs, and you play, 30 seconds, and then here's Snake. We hope to add some more games soon. And yeah, that's it really.
So I'm interested, did you develop music yourself as well as the games? Did you do all that overnight?
Yes, we used the program to help us with the music.
Right.
But the games were pretty much from scratch.
Brilliant.
So.
Can you beat your AI on Pong?
Yes, I can.
I'm confident. So who came up with the name?
It was me.
Good. Brilliant.
So our idea is events. So who are we and what is events? Well, I'm Jordan, I'm a programmer and website developer.
And I'm Alex, the graphical designer and animator.
The life cycle of event started from when we came here today with a different idea called plain.com, a difference of complain. We changed this because we thought it was a bit too negative for our taste, so we came up with a new idea of events where you create criticism instead of just complaining about things. I spent the first couple hours trying to set up a website, whereas the software for Alex was a struggle to set up. The technical side of things was the most difficult part. On the left there is a big block of Python code full of validations, and on the right is what it's outputting, or what it should be. In the middle is the SQL and the table for what it should output.
Now, robustness was extremely important, so we had many validations to ensure that robustness was at its maximum. One of these validations was we had type text, so that we could tell that integers were integers and that they weren't strings, and that would bring up our code if they were.
Uniqueness is very important because it needs to be different from any other social media. It serves as a tool for businesses as well as being a social media, because it allows businesses to collaborate with their customers to allow feedback to grow the business. So this is the front page of the website. As you can see, there's a logo, the title. Is it not working?
You need to drag it over. There we go.
That's full screen. Okay. So
30 seconds, please.
So this is the title screen. You scroll down, and there's here.
Here we have the recent events, and we have some reviews and some criticism put by some users to help the companies.
Down here we have recent problems. Now we have to make sure that we say that this isn't things that you hate, this isn't things that you think you should get rid of. This is more the social media fun part where you put first world problems like...
It's time, boys.
Oh, okay.
I can't think why you thought a complaints website would work in Jersey. So how... Interesting what you said about you don't want it to be just whinges, because we've got the JP for that, obviously. But how would you curate this? Would you mend this? Would you obviously have somebody looking at what's coming in and making sure if it was a whinge, you delete it? Or whatever?
Well, we have different sections. We have sections which are for criticisms and things. We have sections which are for praise. And it splits it up into different things, so companies can take feedback from each and improvise from each to try and improve them, so they can improve things that are working well and try and get rid of things that maybe aren't. If you go down, there's like businesses down here that just examples.
JT.
JT. It's just a random one.
Why would that be on there? Oh, thank you.
That's very good.
Sort of biggest technical challenge in the middle of the night, anything go wrong?
I think you can do that.
So when I was doing the animations and the designs, I was using some softwares and they really weren't working very well for me. So I had to take a lot of time to try and get them to work. But eventually they did start working. I had to spend a very large amount of time
But yeah, it kind of all paid off in the end.
We had an animation at the end.
Yeah, which we didn't have time to play.
Do you want to show it now?
You need to try. No, it's a different side. There you So yeah, that's it.
My idea was called Picture Translator, and so what it does is you take a picture or you can import a file from your choosing, and it will, if it is writing on it or text, my website will detect that text and it will then convert it from a JPEG file into a Word document or text file. So I took the picture just from a piece of paper I found lying around. I've coded a wide range of languages that you could choose from. So if you took a photograph of it in English and you chose a different language, it would then appear up in that language. You can choose what Word document or text file you want to do it on, and then if you click convert, it will then convert that picture into a Word document, as you can see here. So that's just the text that was on the piece of paper. I called it Picture Translator because I thought it was convenient. What it does is it takes a picture and it will turn it into whatever file you want it to. This can be used for a wide range of different opportunities. So, say you were a foreigner and you went into a restaurant, and the menu was in a language you didn't understand or could read. You could then use my website and take a photo of the menu, and it would then tell you everything on the menu in your language.
30 seconds.
This is just some sample of the code that I've done. That's it.
Any difficulties?
Yeah, the ability to make my website convert a JPEG file into a Word document was just trial and error, and I basically spent the whole 16 hours just trying to figure out how to make that work.
Okay, that's really useful. Can you tell us a little bit more on the technological side about how it actually recognizes text
To begin with, when I came in here, I didn't really know how to code this, so I just learned as I went through by using different sites, by using YouTube videos, and so what it does is it selects a file from any of your documents or from the photo that is taken, and it then classes that as a JPEG, and it will then scan through the photo or file, and if it recognizes any text on it, it will then highlight that text, and it will basically copy and paste that text into a Word document.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, brilliant.
Any other questions?
No,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so our website is called Speed Stories. It's an easy way to find news stories and gather information It's just an easy way to find a news story, and it's based around loads of websites, and it's gained from different sources and turned into like one website rather than looking at multiple websites at once.
Kylan supplied us with the info of what we put on our template. I created the template. Josh filled in the template with the information collectible with Kylan, and Casper was the art design manager and helped us with all our problems.
For our page, we have decided to go with a simplistic design. This is to ensure that all groups of people can access our webpage easily. And as a little example of what our advertisements might look like in the video,
You don't need to be listening for those papers. With our new Speed Stories website, you can check out your favourite stories anytime, anywhere. Thanks, Speed Papers. What's going on here?
Alright, so actual main site just has 2 pages, one for the story and like 4 just the image. Stories is just on different topics. Do you have the pictures, Josh? Show them. Any day now.
This is our website, by the way.
30 seconds, please.
Okay.
Alright, so not bloopers, wait, our topics just cover
our code. Oh, this is our code. This is the style for the webpage. We've used divs. I don't know how to describe style.
We're very organised.
So for the index, I created a template with a wrapper to wrap all the content we're going to place in it. We have a banner with an image source as all included. Now it's time to go around information.
Okay, do you want to give the microphone to the judges so they can ask you a question?
Any questions?
What was the hardest part, the hardest tech bit that you found?
As for tech, it was probably designing. As for general, it was probably not trying to laugh in the promo video.
So a non-tech question, I think I probably know the answer to this one, but what was it like working as a team, the 4 of you?
Oh, we're obviously very organised. You know. We were originally a group of 3 and then Josh joined. So that obviously hindered our organisation, and that's not an excuse or anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you tell us why we would use your newsfeed website rather than another one?
Our page will be a quick and easy way to set up how to find news around the world. There's searches for loads of different websites, and if you want to find something that's just critical and small, you'll be able to find it in our webpage because it's searches everywhere.
Okay, one more question if I might. Okay, thank you, clear explanation. What about customizing content to users? And have you thought about how users might end up in their own world bubble?
So basically, obviously we couldn't do it now because of lack of time, but as a concept, after you view like certain types of stories, it like saves, then it views and like certain those stories and related to those.
Gosh, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
So the main aim of the game was to get from one end of the map to the other. Very sort of simple, very nice. It was, but we decided to have it so you had enemies and tree sprites in the way, and we built a story aspect to it. The main character is a lumberjack with some minor fire magical abilities, but he can't do anything without fire starters or wood or any sort of. So the idea was he is trying to escape from some mad tree spirits who are really enraged at the fact that he's just chopping down the forest, and well, that's it. As you can see, there's the controls.
I was in charge of basically designing a basic web page for our design, and here you can see the basic HTML code, the HTML tags as well for the code, and also it shows our lumberjack sprites and the different things you can do, as well as our lumberjack and also the background. I also added some CSS to help improve the website further by using some basic H1 and H2 body tags and CSS.
We used GamesMaker to make the code. GamesMaker was really hard to use. We had several problems when making the game. They involved rewriting some things and deleting some objects and sprites that weren't well functional. But we got there in the end, sort of.
As you can tell, this is the lumberjack character. We decided to keep
30 seconds.
Okay. Rush. We decided to keep him to a sort of stereotypical lumberjack character sort of thing, beard, suspenders, all that, and Raffaello designed him because, gotta go.
And our final thing was the enemies, so we had a large tree sprite and a shorter tree sprite, along with a fire sprite and a ghost sprite, as well as a fish sprite, each one sort of achieving different levels of difficulty throughout the game.
That's 10 words. That's good.
Oh, great.
Can you show us?
Should we demo?
Have you got the demo?
Come on, let him show it.
Carry on, yeah, go on.
The last
The
one.
last one.
The demo, the demo. Let's hope this is the right.
We were all a group of arty people, not coders.
Where is this right one? Yeah, it's the right one. So,
Where's the mic?
We managed to make the lumberjack move using the basic WASD controls, and it can attack the tree stump, and it has a score counter up here. That was just a very minor glitch with that, but yeah.
So did you do all those design yourselves, the lumberjack? Have you done all that overnight?
Yes.
Raffaello was mainly in charge of designing the lumberjack, while Chris mainly designed the tree sprites as well as the other animated tree characters.
Well, but what's the fish doing in the forest?
Chris? It's encrypting the data. What else does the fish do in the forest?
No one scale awareness.
He wanted it there.
It's a fish out of water, pun intended.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, that's it for this event. So, good thank you to all our competitors so far. Now, the next stage, the judges have got the very difficult task now of deciding among all those wonderful efforts that have been put in over the last 16 hours to try and decide the overall winners and the group that's shown the best technical skill and the group that's shown the most innovation and creativity within the work that they have done.
You're going to go? Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone. And so it's a real pleasure to have come in last night. I managed to do 2 rounds after about an hour and also after 3 or 4 hours. So I got to talk to, I think, everyone and ask some tech questions. It's been really good fun, and I think that there's something to say about all of the presentations we've seen. All the ideas have been great. It's difficult to whittle down that list, but we have done so. And I'm going to announce the first runner-up for technical, and that's Nightlight. So well done, and thank you.
Nightlight, come on up, get your prizes. Come on up, Nightlight, well done.
Just need to.
Okay, congratulations to Nightlight. So we'd also like to say well done, and we're very impressed with all the groups that addressed a real world problem. It's hard to do that when you've got a limited amount of time, and we saw some really innovative solutions for things that people encounter every day that matter. And one of those that struck us as combining the right level of innovation and creativity was Shinjo Ni, the teddy bear. Very well done, guys.
Got this.
You have won the award for design and innovation.
But firstly, I wanted to say just how impressed we were with everyone. I mean, the only reason we're not talking about worthy mentions is we thought, God, we'll probably end up not mentioning one or two, and we didn't want those guys to feel bad. They were all really impressive, and I think one of the things we've got to do, Gwyn, is make sure we get the videos, the details, this out to the wider community, because we need everybody, including politicians, including businesses, to know the level of creativity we have in the kids here. That Jersey's about more than the beaches and the finance industry and things like that. And I want to make sure that we have, you know, all the opportunities these kids need to get here in the schools, in higher education, in jobs in the future. So that's a big challenge. So you should all be very proud. So as I said, the all-round winner was really hard to pick, but we feel this one really was an all-round winner. It really had it all. Really quite amazed that it was all put together overnight. I think it had a great idea. It had a really great design. It had great execution. It really was the complete package. It's something I would use, which is starting to give it away. And I think it solves a real problem in Jersey, and that's vent. And the one thing I want to add, and hopefully everyone agree, I think it was such a good idea that I'd like us to help these guys see if we can get it launched in Jersey. So no promises, we'll see what we can do, but let's sort of try and get together at some point and see if we can get this in front of somebody and get it launched, because I think it would really work well here.